Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well. Look on the screen. This is a family of Rob Reiner, Michelle, and they had two children, a daughter and a son. As we all pretty much heard by now, I would imagine. Unfortunately, Rob and Michelle were found deceased in their home by the daughter. Stab wounds to the neck. The son has been arrested and appears to have drug issues. Allegedly, it's all allegedly. He's had a problem with substance abuse, and Michelle was heard telling someone that basically they were at their wits' end. Let's go ahead and play this clip. My goodness, I really liked him on All in the Family. You know, Edith Bunker, Archie, All in the Family. He's done quite a few movies. Just a celebrity in his own right, I must say. So this right here is just shocking. Even more shocking is to hear it's a family member in the matter. Both the mom and dad, Rob and Michelle Reiner, stabbed to death, and they have the son held in custody on $4 million bail. As a matter of fact, the daughter was the one they said that found them deceased, and it's reported that she is the one that relayed to the police that there's a family member that they should look into. There was a big blow up at a party um, the night before, I believe, and he obviously caused a scene. So let's listen to this clip. And this is the reason why. I know with parents in general, they want to be there for their kids. But I remember years ago, I was telling a person, when people have individuals in their families that may have mental illness or substance abuse, anything like that, speaking in general, I don't like to be around because I don't want to be in somebody's house and something pop off. I've seen a person that does that, and it's like, wow, I just had a bad aura. I don't want to be around. And I know it's very hard for parents to go no contact with their kids, but sometimes it might be the safest thing to do. So let's go ahead and listen to this news report.
We'll go into the exclusive details we have in a second, but first I want to get into the general overview and what we know. So yesterday, Sunday at 3:30 p.m., we received a report that an ambulance had been called to the home of Rob and Michelle Reiner, and that two deceased people were found inside, a man being 78 and a woman being 68, with lacerations on their throat consistent with a knife. Now, later that night at 7:30, it was confirmed to be Rob and Michelle Reiner. We were told that they were found by their 28-year-old daughter, Romy Reiner. What's interesting about this is that upon finding her deceased parents, she had called the ambulance got there, and she had actually told authorities that there was one specific family member that should definitely be at the top of the suspect list. This family member is none other than Nick Reiner. This came as a huge shock because it's actually seemed like for a while that Nick and his father Rob definitely weren't on the best of terms all the time, but they definitely had a decent relationship to the point where they even made a movie together. They've been in interviews together. So it came as a shock to a lot of people that were familiar with Rob Reiner and his family. There's something that we learned which kind of gives us an insight into what happened leading up to the homicide itself. We're told that there was a Christmas party hosted Saturday night, just a day before the murder, by Conan O'Brien. There were a lot of movie producers, there were a lot of directors there, and we're told by sources closely connected to the case that there was a huge fight between Rob Reiner and his son Nick. This fight was apparently so big that it was extremely difficult for the people around them to ignore. And it just got to a point, we're told, where Nick and his mom, Michelle, had to leave the event. We don't know what this fight was about. We don't know why the disagreement was so big, but we were just told that it was so explosive that it was really hard to ignore. Speaking of Michelle, Nick's mom, we're told that Michelle, in the months leading up to the homicide, had been telling her friends and family that her and her husband Rob were at her wits' end, and I quote that, their wits' end, regarding Nick and his behavior and his mental health issues and his issues with substance abuse.
And that right there, again, I know parents hang on. I'm not a mom. This is your child. Sometimes it's best to go no contact, even with family members. Now, a motive has not been released. People are just aware of the argument that occurred at the party. Now, my thing was this: they made a movie together, and that's been a while. I think it's been quite some time, so nothing recent. But they made a movie together, meeting Rob and the son, and they're at this party, and you're speaking with movie producers, things like that. A lot of business is conducted, as we all know, parties, country club, things like that. So a lot of business is discussed in social settings. And one of the first things that came to my mind is, again, no motive has been released. But the first thing that came to my mind, if they're at a party and they've got some producers there, and if they're discussing a movie or the next film or project, the first thing that occurred to my mind is, what if he had no knowledge that maybe his dad was doing a new film? Maybe he found out, or maybe he thought, oh my, it hasn't been discussed with me, which ergo would probably mean you're not going to be included. And I wonder that's what caused him to maybe just, to spiral out, to lose it, you know? Because sometimes with wealth, kids become entitled even as adults. But I thought about it. It made me wonder. So they made a movie before. So if they're at a party and you've got all these Hollywood people, it makes me wonder if did a project come up and he realized that, oh wow, his dad, again, who's a talent in his own right. I never heard of the son, except that he had one. But it made me wonder. I wonder if he was thinking, oh, is he doing a project? Well, am I going to be included? And I'm not, and then to lose it. And think in this kind of setting, this is how you know a president can be way off the chains. In this kind of social setting, just lose it. A big fight that is not like, hey, we can talk about this later. It must have went down bad. So for a person to do that, you already know that they're bad for business, and they are dangerous to themselves and everyone else. And fast forward, so the argument, a big blow up, then it continues. There's a lot to unpack there. That's why sometimes it's just best to go no contact. In my opinion, I believe that.
Family that her and her husband Rob were at her wits' end, and I quote that, their wits' end, regarding Nick and his behavior and his mental health issues and his issues with substance abuse. Now, this also gives us a peek into the mental state of Nick Reiner leading up to the events, because when somebody is dealing with mental health issues, when you couple that with substance abuse, things can become extremely explosive. And maybe, this is all conjecture, but maybe that was what was happening at Conan O'Brien's Christmas party.
And other reports have said that the son has had these type of issues that the man just mentioned since the age of 15. That it's been reported that he allegedly has been out of different institutions trying to get it together, as in drug treatment. That's what I've heard, allegedly, for the son. So when you add that and mental instability, and you got controlled substances involved, you got a powder keg. And a person like that is not, they'll act up anywhere. So there's obviously, think, to stab the parents, you raise this child, probably given the best of everything. Rob Reiner, for crying out loud. This guy's been in Hollywood since what, the 70s? All in the Family had a long run. He's had different projects after that. So to stab them in the neck, throat area? Wow. The first thing hit my mind was that first stab, that's probably so they can't scream. You can't go for help and, bleed out faster. So it makes me think he wanted him gone. You wonder why I knew a girl in college, and she said her family was, she's like, yeah, she was raised around, it was a multi-family home. And she was like, pretty much the adults, they were all on a controlled substance. And she said after high school, She enrolled in college, and she's like, I just left. And she did the right thing because nothing's good going to come from it. While you're trying to elevate, they'll try to bring you down, or something violent could happen, and it could affect you adversely just by being in their company, just by being around. She could have been there. What is going to happen? Well, she was just a college student staying there, so she knew. She just left, worked different jobs, stayed with friends, and she got her degree. Matter of fact, she became a psychologist. hmm So sometimes you have to leave, even if it's family or friends. You have to, children, parents. Sometimes you have to. So obviously, I thought about it. So at the party, it went down a big argument, a big blow up, and then next thing you know, both the parents, deceased. Wow! And can you imagine the last moments of your life? What they could, your own child, your own child. He did a movie with his dad. Nobody knows you, son. They know Rob Reiner. This is this is what you raised. Can you imagine a mother raised him, gave birth, and turn around and get murked by your own son? And mothers, they can really be there for their sons, like, oh, it's gonna get better, believe and all that. Sometimes, they're the referee between when things go bad between the dad and the son. The mom is there in the middle, possibly always holding out hope, trying to calm him down. If you notice, when they went down bad at the party, the mother and Nick, the son, left. And that woman didn't know. Hours later, she had no idea the one you leaving with is going to cause you to leave the planet, to transition in such a violent manner. Again, that's why everyone's different. But when it comes to people having mental abuse or substance abuse issues, I don't want to be around. When I told somebody, I said, I just want to be around. I said, I just got a very bad feeling. You know, I'm just letting you know. I don't want to be around. And maybe because it's just my aura. So what do you all think? I thought, wow, why would he want to have it out at the party like that? There are business people, there are Hollywood people, and it made me think, could it be a new film that was going to happen, a new project, and he's not included and feeling entitled? You didn't tell me about it, Dad. You never know. You never know. But why it had to blow up there? You couldn't even keep your calm. You could even keep your calm just to walk your behind away and table it for another day, and then it's done spiraled and you kill both your parents. He does not deserve to see the light of day. He needs to stay. And right now, the days I've been seeing different reports. They're talking about, his mental, whether this and that. Dude, he's taken two lives. He needs to be put away. I don't want to hear about no insanity defense. Oh, substance abuse. Well, guess what? If you kill people because you abuse drugs or due to substance abuse, guess what? If that's what you do, that's another reason to go ahead and keep you locked up for life. Because we can't take a chance. You might go ahead and dilly dally in some of that kind of behavior and kill somebody else. I think he should be locked up. I don't want to hear about no. You can get treatment in jail and you can stay there too. Why? Because we've seen what you can do based on what's reporting. And if he does this to his parents, oh my gosh. I'm not saying parents are perfect, but I don't see him like, oh, they abused him and Rob. I don't know them personally, but I'm not getting that from Rob Reiner. I'm not. I don't feel that. So this right here, I thought about it. Why would you get so turned up at a party to cause a disturbance? Well, you have to leave with your mom. Why? We can talk about it later when you get home. It went that bad. You couldn't calm down, talk about it later? Maybe just know when to leave. No conflict resolution. Sounds like you just on the hand, off the rails. And that anger is still there. Oh, wow. Was it just festering? And now look what's happened. The parents found dead by the sister. And she told them, what they need to do. Why? She knows the dynamics of the family. She knows the dynamics of the relationship. Just couldn't walk away. No conflict resolution. Mental illness and drugs, I think he needs to be gone forever. He should not be let out. Those are my true feelings. I'm not one of those. Well, get the help that he needs, and you can get it on lockup too. Because these two people are dead because of you, based on a report. He's the one they have. He's a suspect. They have him on $4 million bond. Sister girl, don't you dare get him out of there. And I doubt that she will, because she's the one that gave him kind of like the heads up who to look to. But this right here, again, when people are they're facing mental challenges, and then you've got that along with substance abuse, I just rather not be around. Sometimes it's just best to love people from afar. Anyway, just sad, and like I said, just the details shocking. Both the parents. Look on the screen. See, happy, successful family. That's what's on the screen, but behind closed doors, sometimes things are not as they seem. Let me know what you all think about this horrible tragedy. Thanks for watching. Feel free to comment, like, subscribe, and share. RIP, and I'm out.